Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I am introducing a new face on the farm. This is Chips N Tonic. He is a 3-year-old pacing bred standardbred gelding. Chip trained to be a racehorse and then was a little bit too slow, and his connections retired him through Beyond the Finish Line standardbreds and sent him here to my farm so that I could put some training miles on him and um, help him find his next home. So similar to what I did when I had Alfredo, who was my first standardbred retraining project that I vlogged, I thought I'd make another vlog series tracking Chip. And I thought it would be kind of fun. And, every horse is an individual, but also on paper, Chip and Alfredo are very different. Alfredo was 14 years old. He had raced 194 times. And Alfredo had already been started for racing under saddle. So it really wasn't completely brand new for him to be having a rider. Chip, on the other hand, never raced once. He was too slow, so he never actually made it to the track. So Alfredo was kind of what you would consider a war horse, and he just also had like the easygoingest personality. He'd already been let down off of the track. He'd already been started under saddle, but with Chip, we're kind of starting from ground zero. So because Chip is such a baby, and I don't think he's all that confident in the cross ties, I'm going to see if I can get a friend here with me when I do eventually back him and sit on him for the first time. But I thought today for our first vlog, I will just talk through introducing him to a saddle and then starting the process of backing pretty much up until the point I won't get on him today. I think the whole series, if you did follow my series with Alfredo and you're going to follow along now with Chip, I expect we're going to be moving a lot slower with Chip than we did with Alfredo. On the other hand, I think Chip's a lot more, he's a blank slate. Yeah, he's just going to be a very different take on retraining a standardbred, and hopefully he can show a different perspective with a different horse, and one who is, I can tell you right now, very different in terms of personality, but also very different on paper.
Hey guys, so this video actually takes place across 2 different days. The first day was the backing prep work that I did where I just worked with Chip by myself in the cross ties to see where he was at and see how comfortable he was. And so the second part, I guess, spoiler alert, he did really well in the cross ties. And so I had my neighbor who also has horses come over and hold him for me so that I could actually sit on his back. But starting in the cross ties, I just wanted to get him tacked up and then use one of my really tall step stools to get him used to the idea and kind of get a sense of what he thought when I put weight on his back. And so you don't start out completely putting your weight on. You just first, I stand over his head and I talk and I exist above his head. I always rattle my stool around a little bit because I'm not super coordinated. And I want, when I accidentally fall off or trip back onto my stool, I want them to have already heard that kind of noise. So really, I just climbed up on the stool and I used my taller stool at first because I felt, it gives me better access to putting weight on his back, gently and a little bit more controlled. But then I thought, well, when I go to actually get on, if he did take a step or things started to go sideways, I wanted to be able to jump off and not worry about hitting the railings of my step stool. So I switched and I got a mounting block and kind of went back to it. So I'm going to blow through this part pretty quickly. I do this in the cross ties. Following the guidance from Track to Trail, the book that Dot Morgan wrote. Um, it seemed to really put him at ease, but I'm not super comfortable doing the actual backing where I sit all the way up on his back for the first time in cross ties. So all I wanted to do was put the weight on his back and just slowly introduce him to the concept of a person being over his head, weight being on his back. And then I will actually skip ahead to day 2 where my neighbor came over to help me actually sit upon his back. So now we are on to day 2 where we're really introducing 2 concepts to Chip today. One is walking forward with weight on his back, and that was pretty easy. We just started like we did in the cross ties the day before, except he wasn't actually in the cross ties this time. This time my neighbor was holding him. Surprisingly, he actually found that to be a little bit unsettling at first. I think he was just like, wait, why is there an extra person here? And also, I probably moved a little faster, didn't give them time to do their pleasantries, but I wanted to be respectful of my neighbor's time. And so he settled right into that. And I just kind of went through what we'd done the night before, laid across his back, and had my neighbor walk him forward a few steps. And he just like didn't care. So we were like, all right, off to the races. Then we brought him down to the arena, which, like, this was a little bit foolish of me. This was his very first time being in the arena, I realized. But we brought him down to the arena because the mounting block down there is very tall. And so this time, what I did is once again stood up on the mounting block, leaned across his back, and had my neighbor walk him just a few steps forward, and then we stopped, got off, patted, good boy. And then the second part of this was having a rider sit on top of his back and like be fully astride. And some horses have a hard time with this because suddenly there's just like a human being above their head. Like they don't like that they suddenly turned into a centaur. But quite frankly, Chip had no problem with this. I'll just say it was all pretty uneventful. It was really nice to have an extra set of hands on the ground, but I don't know that Chip super needed it. There was one time she went back up to the barn to get some more treats. We were totally giving him treats the entire time. She went up to the barn to get more treats, and he stood really nicely at the mounting block. And so, my takeaways for today was that one, he's got a really good brain. Two, he's completely unbothered by being sat upon. And three, I thought the hardest part for him today was that he felt a little overwhelmed by new situations. And so rather than spending a lot of time on his back in the coming weeks, I think the next part of the vlog is going to be enrichment and building top line, but doing it in a way that, exposes him to more things. And so I will be teaching him how to lunge, sure, and I will lunge him in my arena and I'll lunge him in my dry lot. But I'd also like to do pole work with him, introduce him to working over poles, and start ponying him off of cricket, bring him out onto our little trail loop in the back. And so it'll be nice for him to just get a little bit more exposure and, just learning how to build top line because he clearly didn't seem that bothered by having someone sat up on his back. But I did feel like he got a little unsettled a few times. And so I'm just like, you know what? We're going to build some character over the next few weeks. So if you're interested in following along to see more about how Chip is coming along and watching me build that character with him, be sure to subscribe. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.